what is actually out there, what's the weight that's on it, and how is it holding us back? And what are the wisdoms and learnings and lessons that we can get from it? So that's where we're starting this planning challenge, because if you don't harvest first, you have nowhere to plant. It's like taking your seeds out to that dirty, full, chaotic, nasty field and trying to get them to grow. Happy 2020. Oh my gosh, the roaring 20s. I'm so excited. Welcome to the PowerHouse. This is Vanessa Long, and we are starting our 2020 Planning Pajama Challenge, and it starts right now. Hopefully you are registered and you received your worksheet and you've got it printed off and you are ready to go. I've already got mine filled out because I know what we're doing. It's important that I know what we're doing, or else this will be super awkward. So hopefully somebody's around. I know it's New Year's Day. Who is crazy enough to do stuff on New Year's Day? That would be me. Y'all are just sitting around waiting for something to happen. So here's the thing. My commitment is to keep this short. Tiny little bite-sized pieces every day for the next 15 business days, or like not business days, but weekdays. So originally I thought we were going to go straight through and do the weekends as well, and we're not gonna. During that time, I'll also be doing the Seasons of Success retreat, which is going to be awesome. So if you're in the Seasons of Success or the Academy, or you want to get in there, that's what we're going to be doing next weekend. And then we'll come back the next week, and then we're going to finish on Tuesday, the 21st. So we actually have almost an entire month of planning, which makes my geeky planning heart so happy. And I hope that taking these tiny little bite sizes will make sure that it doesn't overwhelm you or put you into a panic about how much there is to do. Because here's the thing with planning. You can invest, waste, spend tons of time and energy planning and creating these huge business plans and huge things, and they're not worth it, in my experience. You end up never using them. You end up putting them on a shelf and wondering why you bothered doing it, and it ends up being just a huge regret and waste of time. So we're going to do these little steps. We're going to get stuff you can actually use. I promised magic, and here's where the magic happens. Magic is the ability to actually make something happen. So in my world, magic means that you decide to do something and then you actually do it. Like, you decide that you want to change something, and then that thing actually changes. You decide that you want to attract something new into your world, and you do. That's magic. You know, the Hollywood screen magic that we see of like, ooh, I can teleport, or I can, you know, lift things up, telekinesis, and move them around, or whatever it is. That's not magic to me. Magic is an energetic ability to set a goal and then actually get a goal. And everything that I do with my clients is designed to build the capacity to actually set a goal and get a goal. In this magical goal setting and planning challenge that we're going to do, the way that I have created the Seasons of Success and the way that I work with my clients is we have to start with harvest. So we are starting with harvest, always, 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 when we're doing planning. Here's the way I look at it, and this is the first blanks on your worksheet. To make space for our goals and dreams, we have to clear our energetic fields. And I want you to just lean into this imagery with me, or lean into this metaphor. Everything you do plants an energetic seed. Everything you wish for, everything you commit to, everything you, like every thought you have that has juice for you, that kind of hooks you in. The process of manifestation goes from values and beliefs to thoughts, to feelings, to actions, to results. So anything you've had along that chain, every value, every belief, every meta program, every thought, feeling, action, and certainly your results, those have planted seeds in your energetic fields. And what that means is that after 30, 40, 50, 60 years of planting and like trying stuff and doing stuff and thinking stuff and fearing stuff and having wounds, you end up here with really full fields. And the way that I describe it in the Seasons of Success is they don't look that good. You know, you've seen really beautiful fields that are planted like row by row, and I just have to totally pause and say, this is my new sweater, and I waited a month to get it. I ordered it from Nordstrom, and it's got, I can't describe it. It's got blouson sleeves. So like the sleeves, you know, blouse, they are blousey sleeves. And this is the first time I'm wearing it because it arrived like just a couple days ago. And I'm just staring at myself because I'm like, girl, you look so good. So anyway, back to the fields. So we have these fields and they don't look so good. And like some of the stuff that's out in our field, we're like, yes, I know what you are. And some of the stuff out in the field, we're like, I have no idea what you are out there. You know, there's like a big weird weed off in the corner, and there's some sort of patch of like some weirdness when we were all into that thing, you know, the thing where you were like macrobiotic back in the 70s. And then there's like, oh, I don't know, like for me, there would be all the times I went to school and all the times that I got really keen on something and then it didn't work out. And, you know, that is still all out there. And that's why we have to start with harvesting. We have to go into our fields with intention and figure out what we want to pull in. What is actually out there? What's the weight that's on it? And how is it holding us back? And what are the wisdoms and learnings and lessons that we can get from it? So that's where we're starting this planning challenge, is with harvest. And just let me know, like drop an emoji or a yep, got it in the comments so that I know that this makes sense. That like if you want 2020 to be different, and we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. Thank you, Mary Lou. Oh, I think it looks really good too, and it's so soft. Wait until I wear the gray one. Oh my gosh, the gray one is so hot. Okay. But not like hot, but like hot. Let me know in the comments if this makes sense, that like you have to harvest if you want to do something actually new. Because if you don't harvest first, you have nowhere to plant. It's like taking your seeds out to that dirty, full, chaotic, nasty field and trying to get them to grow. And if you've ever been in a forest, or you've ever been in a garden, or you've ever been in a field, you know that it's really hard for new seeds to sprout and gain purchase when they're overshadowed by all the other things that are happening. So we definitely need to clean out space in the fields, which is the whole point of harvest. Okay, everybody's got it. Yep, yep, yep. So that then we can plant new things. So here is where we're starting. To make space for our goals and dreams, we have to clear our energetic fields. The next line, obviously, is we have to harvest significant milestones. We have to harvest significant milestones. So that is the importance of harvest. And then I just wanted to add on to it, and I talked about this last year. I talk about it pretty much every January 1st. There is something very magical about this period of time, this moment where 1 year transitions to another. It's what we call liminal space, or threshold moments. And what that means is the energy is shifting from one place to another. We're in a transition zone. And I'd love to be able to say, and this is the only time of the year that that happens, and if you don't take advantage, you're going to be screwed. But no, that's not the way it works. We have transition moments all the time. And energetically, when we can tap into a transition moment, what that means is normally the energy is really settled, like it's stable, it's cohesive and coherent and solid. So in order to change something, we kind of have to like put in a lot of energy to break that apart. And instead, during these transition moments, instead of being like this, the energy is kind of swirling and moving already. So it's very easy for us to, with intention, move the energy and shift the energy and change the energy intentionally, consciously, like voluntarily, so that instead of the divine having to lob in a grenade or set off the fireworks to get our butts out of the rut, we're already busted out of the rut because the energy is moving already. And so it's much easier to create change in these liminal moments than it is when everything is kind of stable, kind of steady. Which, by the way, as a coach or a soulpreneur, a healer, or like somebody who works with people and they're wondering, why is my world so chaotic right now? The reason that these liminal moments and transitions can be so chaotic, and if you've ever had a client go like, my whole life is falling apart right now, that's why I always celebrate that with them, because they've been in a rut. They've been stuck in this cohesive, coherent, energetic pattern that's not what they wanted. In order for it to change, we have to break it up. And that's why we do breakthroughs. And that's why, you know, we have to create chaos in our lives in order to get things moving. It's just to get it out of this low energy coherent state and into this transition phase where things are moving and it's much easier to steer and make magic. So that's the second thing that's going on. There is one more thing, and then we're going to get into the actual task for today, and then we'll be done. So let's see how this works. All right, so here's the third thing that's happening. Normally when I do a harvest at the beginning of the year, I'm just looking back at the previous year, the previous 12 months. Not this year. This year is something quite extraordinary. And I don't know if you've noticed the energy exactly. No grenades. We don't need more grenades. The energy right now is very, it's just very potent. Have you been feeling it? And so what we're actually going to start with is, instead of just doing the regular annual harvest, which is, you know, what we're going to do in the Seasons of Success later today, we are actually going to start this challenge by looking at the past decade or the last 2 decades. We are entering 2020. 2020 is a number 4 year. I talked about this on the solstice training that happened on the 21st. If you haven't watched it yet, it was really, really good. I recommend you going back and watching it. It was just beautiful and magical, and it was so nice. 2020 is a solid year. 2020, 2 plus 2 is 4. So it's a 4 year. It's a foundation year, a bedrock year. It's like, get your shit together, make things happen, do the stuff. 2019 was a 3 year. It was a culmination. It was like all the stuff that you hadn't finished, all the crap that you hadn't finished was just blowing up and you had to deal with it. And I believe that was for our highest good, to get us into a place where 2020 we can be more stable. It's the culmination, though, or the transition into, people are calling it the roaring 20s. You know, 100 years ago, it was the roaring 20s, the roaring 20s. It's got a lot of juice. And that gives us the opportunity to harvest not just 2019, which is super important, but also the last decade or 2 decades. And let me know if you're with me on this one. I'm actually, like, if you've had a big decade, and everybody's had a big decade, right? Like, there's nobody who's like, oh, it's just been super quiet. There is stuff that happens. You can't go 10 years on this earth without life happening. So we're going to talk about life happening and the lessons and the learnings that have come out of it. I'm actually going to stretch it back to 2000. And this is the second page here of the worksheets. We're going to divide up the last 10 or 20 years, and it's totally up to you. It's not right or wrong, depending on what you want to do. But you're going to divide the last decade into 5 2-year segments. So it'll be, the first box is 2010 to 11, the next one is 12 to 13, 14 to 15, 16 to 17, and 18 to 19. Or you're going to divide the last 20 years into 2000 to 2003, 2004 to 2007, 2008 to 2011, 2012 to 2015, or 2016 to 2019. And what I want you to do, and this is your task for day 1, we'll be using this, so make sure you do it, is to go through. Notice that the boxes are small. You do not have to write books on this. You do not have to remember every single little thing that happened. I just made some points about, like, really big things that had happened in my world. And I actually stretched it back to 1999, because as I was thinking about what's happened in my world and how I've changed, it really started in 1999, which makes sense because that's another huge transition year, liminal moment, moving from 99 to 2000. Now we're moving from 2019 to 2020. So your task today, very specifically, is to choose whether you're going to do the last decade or the last 2 decades, divide this sheet up with the numbers, and then pull the highlights that you remember. If you really need to go back, you can. For me, I just sat there and I was like, okay, what happened here? What was really big that happened in this 4-year or 3-year period, and then this 4-year period and that 4-year period, and just quickly make bullet points. And we'll be coming back to it tomorrow to work with the information that we're getting so that we can carry it forward. The way that harvesting works is not just remembering, it's remembering, processing, releasing, and transmuting what once was painful into our wisdom that carries us forward. So that's where we're going to start. And then once we've cleared out the fields, then we're going to dive into what do we actually want to see happen this year and in the next 5 years. And we are going to get all of this done by the 21st, tiny little bite sizes. If you're in the Seasons of Success, make sure you come to the harvest this afternoon. And we have our retreat next week. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, where I'm going to go in with you and we're going to get into huge amounts of detail about all of this planning. If you want in, let me know. Just send me a DM and go, why am I not in the Academy? Why am I not in the Seasons of Success? And we'll make it happen. If you have any questions, let me know. If you got what I was saying, if you have any questions about the tasking, put it in there. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. You know, I will come back and check comments and everything later, but that is your task for today. Day 1 is to go through, divide it up into either a decade or 2 decades and get your harvest. Figure out what it is that you did that were your big moments, what happened in your world. So for instance, 2004 to 2007, those were my best years as a personal trainer. So 1999 to 2003 were kind of the setup years. 2004, those were my best years as a personal trainer. My mom got sick and almost died a couple of times, 2004 to 2005. I went to Sedona and met Jesus everywhere, which is so weird. And that was the first time. So that was like a big thing for me. I swore off boys, committed to go to law school, and went back to school. And that happened after my mom died, my cat died, my dog died, I sold the house, settled her estate, and then I went back to school and started dating on eHarmony. So that was like what I wrote in this one little box, just thinking about what happened in that time period for me. It was a big time period, and that's why I feel I need to harvest it, because I've done so much work, but I've never done a proper harvest of that time period. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me know what you need. Let me know what questions you have. Wendy, you've got it. That's awesome. Everybody else got it? Got your worksheets? You're all registered? Let's do this. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in the Powerhouse. This is Vanessa Long, and I will see you tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern for day 2. Love you all. Happy New Year. Thank you for coming on here and playing with me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.